and we'll make that recording available at some point once we kind of iron it down a little bit into a nice training video, so that folks that didn't get a chance to meet with us today, they can go back and see that. So like Ms. Roberts said, I'm going to kind of go down through this list of questions. We had 10 or so really good questions submitted prior to this training, and just going to jump right in at the top of them. And the first question that we had was, a parent was wondering if there was a way to contact individual teachers through Schoology. And there is. We have a messaging system. So a lot of what I'm going to do this evening, I'll be sharing my screen for a lot of it, just to kind of walk you guys through exactly how to find these different parts that we're referencing. So give me just a second. I'm going to get my screen share happening, maybe. And there we go. And let's see, we're going to share that side. Okay. So can we see my screen now over on this side? I think I lost audio.
No, we have audio. We just can't see your screen.
Okay. Okay, hold on just a second. Let me see why that is.
Hey, there we go. We got it.
There we go. It's just running really, really slow. So hopefully it'll catch up to us here quickly. So what I'm going to pull up on this side, though, is an actual parent. I created Pam Parent, and this is what your parent account should look like when you come in. You'll either see a course dashboard, or you'll see your recent activities tab, depending on how you have your setup. But once you're logged in, over on the right-hand side of the screen here, you can click on your name and find your child. Once you click your child, you will actually be viewing exactly what your student sees in their Schoology account. So you can see that all of the most recent things that have happened as far as assignments or announcements or anything like that. Over in this right-hand section, we've got graded assignments, graded test quizzes, discussions, attendance, things like that. You can see all the upcoming events that have been posted for that particular student. And as far as messaging your teacher, though, we're going to click into, let's see, into the enrollment side. So this is the only class that my Susie sample student is actually enrolled in. But when you click on her particular class, you're going to see any assignments that the teacher has posted. So this is, again, is exactly what the student sees as far as tabs on the left and content in the middle. You can see anything upcoming, and to answer that question, to contact the teacher, you'll have a small envelope icon over on the right-hand side that says message the admins. Admins are simply the people that are running the class, so AKA the teachers. You should, in most cases, just have one teacher in the class, but some of our teachers are co-teaching certain sections, so you may see 2 different admin names in there. When you click that envelope, if you're on the outside here and there's more than one admin, you would see multiple names here for anybody that's an administrator of that course. I'm the only teacher in this particular one, so my name pops up first, and it's just like a regular email message. You're going to have a question, and whatever the body of your question is, you can attach files. So if there is something that you want to share with that teacher as far as an attachment of some sort, you can share links. You can even do an audio video recording. If you want to send us an audio or a video message, we would get that as well. Once you're ready to send it, it's just a simple click of the send. You have confirmation that it's been sent. And then I'm going to flip over to my, hang on a second. Gotta make sure I get the right screen. Okay, I'm going to flip over to my actual screen of what I see as a teacher. And in my mail icon up at the top, I see that Pam Parent has sent a message to me. You'll notice if I back up that I've got these small little numbers outside of the envelope icon, so that lets me know that I've got a message. And I also just got an email on my phone that told me that I had a message sent to me from that particular student's attached parent. So that's the simplest way to contact your teacher for that specific course. You can also come over in the parent account. Let me flip back to it here. And you could click on our school. Now, whenever you go to our school, you're going to see our school overview page. So updates are just it's a fancy word for announcements. So anything that we would want to put out school-wide would show up here. But the tab that I want to direct you to is this faculty tab. By clicking on that, you can see every single faculty member that's in our building, and you can send a message by coming out to the right-hand side here and send a message. So if you're looking for a particular teacher that may not be your child's teacher for that particular course, or you just know that name that you're trying to send a message to, you can find it in this area. The simplest way, though, to get that teacher for that particular student's class that you're inquiring about is to go through the course thing that we did just a minute ago. And after I hit these questions, I'll pause for a minute, ask if anybody has any follow-up questions or anything. One of my biggest faults, being the tech nerd, is going through this really fast. I've been looking at Schoology since early July or middle July as we evaluated it to begin bringing it on. So you get really click happy and you click things hundreds and hundreds of times. You forget sometimes that we're showing some of these folks, some of you guys, this is brand new. So definitely tell me to slow down or go back and check something. My students are really good at that with our code programs that we do in my class. So any questions about how to contact a teacher? And if not, I will skip to the next question. The next question on our list was, how do we go about getting our device cleaned up, as in removing unnecessary virtual classes and formally scheduled Princeton middle classes, such as resulting from a schedule change? What we have learned is that Schoology is really good at giving, but not very good at taking away. So once we move a student, that you are exactly right, that student is still technically, as far as Schoology is concerned, enrolled in that class that we moved them from. So what needs to happen, and what we're trying to put into place now as far as a staff, is when a student schedule change happens, the teachers that are affected, the teacher that is receiving the student and the teacher that lost the student, are both notified through email that the schedule change has happened. What that does and what it should do in the future as we continue working to put this in place, the teacher that lost the student will need to go into their course that the student was currently enrolled in and unenroll that student. The teacher that gained the student will go in to verify that the kid did show up in the correct class and the one that they're supposed to be in. So to answer your question, as far as how do we go about getting that device cleaned up, if there are extra classes listed on your child's Schoology account that they do not need, that they're not even enrolled in that class anymore, for example, the virtual classes and so on, if you can contact the school, preferably through email, or just give us a quick phone call to let us know that there's an issue with that particular student, we know to go in and look at that, and we can get with that teacher to help them unenroll the students from the classes so it'll clean up. As soon as the unenroll happens on Schoology, that class will disappear for that student, so they will no longer see that course in their listing, so it should help clean things up pretty quick. And we also have admins in the building that can do those unenrollments manually as well. If the teacher is unable or you can't get a hold of the teacher, we can get those cleaned up. So we are actively working on that. We know that there's been a lot of student movement around over the last couple of weeks as far as virtual and non-virtual and changing classes and things like that. So we're actively trying to clean those up each day as we come across them and find out that there's an issue. The next question that we had on the list is it possible to view or review graded assignments within Schoology? The answer to that is yes and no. As far as being able to see assessments, which are tests, the teacher has to make that assessment viewable after the submission. Some of the reasons that a teacher might not do that, especially with our A-B schedule, is the A group may take the test on Thursday and the B group may not have seen the test yet. So the teacher is very likely to not allow the student to see the results. They can see their score, but to not actually see the actual assignment, to see the questions and their answers and whether it was right or wrong. Mostly so that they can't share that with the student that hasn't seen the test yet before Friday got around. If the teacher has turned on that ability to be able to view, then it is certainly possible for them to see that. And I'm going to go back to my Susie sample. So with my teacher here, And let me get back to the courses. Okay, so we're looking at your child's account, and we see that they have an assessment here, the variables checkup. So when I click on that particular assignment, once it loads, I will see that she did submit the assignment. She received a grade 80 out of 100. And in this instance, the teacher has allowed that assessment to be viewed. So simply clicking that tab will take you in and show you that her exact answers. This is what she entered for the short answer. This is what she picked on the multiple choice. And you can see out beside it, 1 out of 1 would obviously indicate that she got it correct. 0 out of 1 would mean that that's the one that she missed. So you can see the assessment in that area. If you come to this section and you see that there's nothing here on the action tab, that simply means the teacher has not made that viewable. That would be probably a direct message to the teacher if it's something that you really needed to see, or there was some kind of issue with that assessment, or you're trying to help your student understand what's going on. That would be a good time to message the teacher and ask them to maybe provide a copy, which they can do in a download. They can download the student's submission and possibly email that to you or send that to you in a message so you could go over it with your child. As far as assignments, it's the same way. I did one earlier for a worksheet that was completed. So again, you click on the worksheet assignment, and you're going to actually click over here where it says the assignment was submitted. And that's going to bring you into the area where you can see what the actual assignment was that your student submitted. You can also see at the top when the assignment was submitted, and you can see that whether it was on time or not, depending on whether the teacher has given a due date within Schoology. And over on the right-hand side, you can also see comments. And of course, you can't add a comment as a parent here, but this would be a place where if there was a conversation between your student and the teacher related to this assessment, you have access to that as well. Sorry things are taking so long to load, but it's typically a little bit faster. I may need to clean my computer up, but we should see. So this was a fillable PDF, so you can actually see the answers that were submitted. Okay. So any questions on how you can view graded assignments? And again, there's other assignments that the teacher may make. We do have the ability to give a pencil paper type assignment and grade that just like we used to in the old days, and just post a grade column, so there wouldn't be anything to really view on Schoology as far as what was turned in, but you can still see the grade, and we'll get to the grades here in just a few minutes. The next question that we had on this that was submitted to us is, we have been unable to access the student email capabilities, as in to contact classroom teachers with questions. Is there a more direct means to do so within Schoology? And that one really kind of goes up with the first question on how to get in touch with your specific teacher. We do have email availability, and I'm not 100% sure. Let me look at this. I didn't get a chance to look at this before, but I don't think that the teacher's email is posted for the parents to see, but I'll look at it real fast while we're thinking about it. Oh, I'm in the wrong thing, sorry. Let me go back to Susie Sample here and click on her course. And I don't think you can see information related to the teacher. If I click on the one admin, you can see my name, and you can send me a message this way, but I think clicking on my name, it gets the private access thing. We're really still in a trial by error approach to Schoology right now. We're really learning on the fly as far as what we need to provide access to and what doesn't need to have access. So this is actually on one of our tech punch lists to really evaluate this and see if being able to view a teacher profile is important, to see what information is on the teacher profile to determine whether it's something, it's really the only thing that you would be looking for here is an email address. So we're not 100% sure what else you would have access to or be able to see in that. So we're kind of evaluating that. But as far as messaging the teachers, though, the direct message through Schoology is probably the best bet, seeing that we're all on it now, and that's what we're using every day in all of our classes.
And Derek, as far as that
Yes.
goes too, I know a lot of the teachers have been building that skill on the in-person days. They're teaching their students how to log into their Microsoft 365 account
Right.
and how to practice sending. Not every teacher, but some of them are showing them how to submit some things that way as well. So your student may be able to actually help you see how they're sending those emails to some of their teachers too.
Sure. Sure, that's an excellent point. And I mentioned this to a teacher earlier today that Schoology is one really large tool in our toolbox, but we still are very much a Office 365 organization, and we have multiple tools that we try to employ every day. So the email is still definitely there. We're still teaching the kids how to use a lot of their Microsoft Office products that are found in that Office 365 account, and how they can integrate that with Schoology. So they're typing assignments, they're viewing PowerPoints, they're editing things like that, and attaching it as submissions in Schoology. So they're definitely working together. But the kids know more than they may let on. A lot of times we're discovering that, as you guys may be well aware, that the kids are not always 100% upfront on what they're able to do and what they know how to do. So. The next question, if you email a teacher, how do you know if they're receiving them? And what about on Schoology? Not quite as convenient as, say, a Facebook message where you can see the status indicator change when somebody has clicked on the message or read the message, but we're getting notifications both on that little tiny number flag that pops up over top of our envelope icon. We're getting emails, and most of the teachers have enabled push notifications on their phones. So we're getting a text message that tells us that we have an assignment submitted or a message sent to us or ready to read. So there's no real visual indicator that says that something has been looked at, as far as like an icon or anything like that. I did want to look real quick just to make sure that I'm not telling you incorrectly here, because now that I think about it, I think there is an actual red indicator on the message, if I can get back to it. So if you send, I'm still in Susie. Let me go back to your account. And that's something too that again, I've been looking at this thing for months, and I still have to remember which menu I'm in. So the parent actually has an account. When you create an account with your child's access number, you have an account on Schoology. You could technically be enrolled as part of courses. If we have, say, training courses that we offer as parent training, kind of like what we're doing today, we have the ability to create a course that you guys could enroll in, and you have the opportunity to join groups. So a lot of our teams are moving to use the groups tab. So their sports teams or their school clubs or things like that are going to be using groups, and you can be a part of those groups as well through your own account. So you really have two different views when you're in your parent account. You can see what the kid sees, but you can also have your own interaction. So if I click on my messages, and I don't have anything up here, so I don't see anything on that, but we'll look at that a little bit more, and we'll go back and review this training video and answer any questions that we might have left kind of vague, and put that out as more informational pieces as we move along. We definitely want to keep you guys up to speed and help you get as comfortable as you possibly can with Schoology, which is just going to make for a better experience for the student. The next question was, is there a way to flag submitted assignments on my student's account so that when I'm checking their work, I know his work has been turned in without going into each individual assignment? Excellent question. I do not think at this time that there's any way to flag anything in particular as a reminder for you to go back and check things. But it is, if we go into Susie sample here, the gradebook area is an excellent place to keep up with that. So if I click on the actual grades for this particular course, I'm going to get a grade report, and I'm going to see how they're broken down as far as categories. I'm going to see an overall grade. I'm going to see a grade here. If it's an assignment that's missing, I'm going to see some kind of, it's a little icon that indicates that it's a missing assignment, or I can see that it's a late assignment. I can see when the particular assignment is due. And then, of course, you can click into the assignment to see what the actual details of that assignment are. So the grade tab is an excellent place to keep up with what your student is actually doing. And this is going to kind of be similar to what you used to see in live grades. If you've had students in the school system and, in years previous, we were using something like that. So you could go to their overall grade tab and see all the individual assignments that have been assigned and whether they had completed those and any comments or anything like that. So I didn't have time to put comments in on this one, but anything that we mention about an assignment or any notes like that, you would be able to see those as well. The next question that we had is, what is the easiest way to get multiple students onto one parent account? That part I do know really well, and it's really simple. If you're logged into your account, so I'm in my Pam parent account here, and I signed up for that account with this Susie sample student. But if I've got another child, it's simply come down to this add child button, and I'm going to put in that child's parent access code. And once you put that in, regardless of whether that student is part of Princeton Middle School or part of Mercer Elementary or part of Princeton High School, all of your kids can be listed under your account in that same tab. And you're simply going to, once you have your other children added in, you're just going to pick whichever particular child it is that you're trying to see, and it's going to take you into a snapshot of what they're actually seeing, just like we saw earlier with our Susie sample student. So it's very simple to add that. And I think Ms. Roberts mentioned earlier that we sent those parent codes out. We are certainly able to get those for you very quickly. I think if you need a parent code, we were going to take your name during this and contact you individually just to maintain privacy, to make sure that we get the right code out to the parents so that you have access to this.
Right. So if anybody needs that, I could take I think most everybody on here, I was able to get you your code today at some point. But I mean, if you hear it out there, because I know Schoology is a popular topic, that anybody needs that. If they'll just call the school, our secretaries transfer it to one of us and we're able to provide it, or you can direct message the teacher and they can give it to you as well.
Right.
And I can take anybody's name down right now that may need a code.
Sure. And if you guys want to use the chat box, that's the conversation box here on the Teams meeting, you can put anything like that. And if you have other questions that you think of while we're doing this, and I'm talking too fast for you to jump in and interrupt, just stick a question down there and we'll definitely review those before we're finished.
Mr. Belters.
Yes.
It actually says it's unavailable.
Well, that's not good.
Available to team members.
Okay, just kidding. Just give us a shout out and let us know that you need to do it, because apparently we didn't set something up right when I set this meeting up. And I don't think I can change it in the middle of it. So.
I would need the parent code. This is Talia Gallman's mom.
Okay.
I'm Nathan Craddock's mom, and I need his code.
Okay.
Okay, Talia's mom.
Yes, please.
And who was the other one?
Nathan Craddock's mom, Melissa Craddock.
Okay. I've got those names wrote down.
Okay. So we'll definitely get those codes for you and get you guys on to where you need to be so that you can keep up with these things. And once you're in your account, if you come over to your settings, you can click on a notifications tab and you can actually customize exactly what you get notified with. So some of the default things are if there's an update posted to the course, if there's comments on posts that you've made, if there's group updates, if there's, you can kind of go down through this list and see all the different places, and you can turn things on and off, whatever you want to be notified by as far as your email. You have a master turn off all notifications if you don't want anything like that. And then you have the send notifications to your phone via the text message. So that's, again, another great place to, it's not really I think I mentioned push notification earlier, and it's not necessarily a push as far as it's going to pop up like on an iPhone when a message drops down from the top or something, but you're going to get an actual text message from Schoology that lets you know that there's been something within whatever you have set up here posted. While we're in this particular page, your privacy settings, there's a couple things that you can work with on here as far as messaging and whatnot, but you really, everything's kind of locked down as far as you have access to your child's information, you have access to your child's teacher, but we haven't really opened anything up as far as social networking, I guess would be the best way to describe it, between parents, between groups. We're really taking this in baby steps to make sure that we ensure the privacy of all the parties involved. And especially as we continue to learn more about the module, we're trying to tippy-toe our way through this and not open up anything that doesn't need to be opened up yet. So and then in your, let's see, I just wanted to go through these tabs real quick. In your account settings, you have the opportunity to change your own password. You can set the default account. So if when you log in, you want to see your particular Schoology account first, you can change this option to main account. It's defaulted to your child, and that would be the first child that you registered. Okay. And I think that's pretty much it on that. So the next question we had is, how do I get a student code from a teacher in grades 9 through 12? And the best way to do that is to contact that particular school. So if you've got a sibling of a student that we have here, then you would need to contact that school. If you're unable to get somebody through that school, we definitely get a hold of us and we can point you in the right direction to the tech office or one of the super admins for the Schoology platform, and we can help you get that. So there's a couple different avenues, but your first thing should be to go to that particular school and ask for that code directly. Let's see, there's another one that says the student can't access images on Bing as far as inserting images into assignment documents. That one kind of goes back to what we call as a Creative Commons licensing issue. So Microsoft, when you're using a Microsoft Word document, you have the ability to insert images directly through Word, and it uses the Bing search engine platform. So it's kind of like Google, but it's Bing. Anything that is not listed as far as when the person, whoever created that graphic and put it up for use on the web, they had to give it a license type. And one of the license types is wide open for use for anybody. And it's a wide open Creative Commons license. The image might show up, but it may have a little notice on it that says it's only to be used in this way or that way. So if you're getting something where you try to import an image and it gives you an error, a lot of times that's because that license does not allow for that particular image to be imported into a document. You would have to actually go to Bing and go to that particular site and download it through their channels to actually get a hold of that image and then insert it in your document if they allow that type of use. So generally that's because we are we receive money from E-rate. That's a huge part of our technology budget in the county. We have to follow every single privacy law in place and privacy policy that's in place to ensure that we're compliant across the board on how we use technology. So that's why those things, there's no wiggle room around anything like that. So if it's an error, generally it's because there's something within that privacy policy that's blocking that. No, again, if you have particular questions, if it's an isolated incident or something, it was able to work with all this, but it's just not working now, definitely get a hold of us and they can direct that to my attention as the tech person here, and we can certainly look into it and see if it's a problem with that particular device or if it falls into that licensing issue. Another question is the students having difficulty accessing certain video clips assigned by the teacher on YouTube. Kind of goes back along the same thing on the previous answer. We fall under a state internet filter, and that filter is kind of looking for a public use, originally created video that's released for public use. So if it is a video that somebody has copied and posted as their own, a lot of times that license doesn't follow along with it, and our filter actually blocks that because it's not going through the proper channels. So again, it kind of goes back to that Bing issue with the images. If it's blocked on YouTube, a lot of times we run into that here in the school building. There's things that are very good educational instructional materials that we have blocked us, and it's because we're getting a copy of a copy version that's come across YouTube somehow. So I mean, there's lots of different ways that you can take screen grabs and record your screen and post that as your own content, but YouTube's pretty good about making sure that the person that actually created it gets the credit for it and gets all the rights to it. So again, that would be another thing, that if it's a constant thing that's happening, it's definitely contact that teacher. So if a teacher has put a video clip in something and you're unable to access it, your first avenue is to go to that teacher and let them know, and then they can bring that to our attention if it's something that they're seeing across the entire class, or is it just that particular device? Excuse me. And the last question that we had submitted to us that I have in front of me is, we continue getting a captive portal message on certain YouTube video assignments, was fixed one time and now can no longer access. The captive portal, again, is part of that state internet filter. The only way to get past the captive filter is to put in the student's full K-12 email address. So it's their username at stu.k12.wv.us. It's the full email address, and then their password that works for their computer and their Office 365. As long as there's not a problem with that particular video, and again, that kind of goes back to, we're just trying to troubleshoot these things as they come to us and looking at it on a case-by-case basis. But if it's just the captive portal, just the filter asking for a user authentication, that should get you past the filter and allow you to continue on. You'll see that most often when you're using Chrome. We've discovered it's not necessarily, some of the other browsers don't seem to hit it as often, but Chrome seems to bring it up pretty often when these computers are outside of our network. So again, anything that you have technical issues with, the computer's not not acting right, it's shutting down the wrong time, doesn't seem to be holding a charge, you can't access certain things at home, this captive portal issue and all that, definitely let us know through one of your child's teachers, and they can get that directly to us, and we can either look at that device when we see the student, or work with you over the phone, or try to set up some time when we can actually bring you onto the property and sit down with you to see if we can figure out the issue. We are using equipment that was originally purchased to be one for many, and now it's 1-to-1, which is an excellent thing for our students, but we're working through a lot of the bugs of using the computers that may not necessarily have been treated with the best care while in the classroom. Tons and tons of kids using them, things happen. So we're cleaning those up as we come to them, and hopefully getting everybody a device that is reliable and useful. So that's the end of the questions that I had submitted to us. Does anybody else have any other questions or anything related to those things that we can kind of hit on?
Did they hear me say that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
I have a question about my son's laptop.
Okay.
It is actually stating that his storage is full.
Okay.
Is that something that we need to try to look at? I tried to go through and delete all of his old assignments that he'd submitted already.
Right.
And it still didn't make a dent in it. So I thought maybe it was some of the icons that have been put on there for the school-related things. So I didn't really know what to do.
What's his name?
It's Ronnie Johnson.
Uh-huh.
And I guess his homeroom teacher is Mr. Morello.
Morello. Okay. If you will have him, is he in school tomorrow, or was he here today? I'm off on my AB schedule right now. But
he was there today.
He was there today. Okay. If you can have him bring that laptop to let Mr. Morello know on Monday. Is it Monday? Yeah, he'll be here Monday. Let him know on Monday that his laptop is full. We actually need to clean the user profiles off of that. And I'm going to get all tech nerd on you here, but when we have many students that logged into those laptops over, when they were just one-to-many devices, each time a student logs in with their username and password, it creates a profile on the device, and that takes up a big chunk of the space because it creates their desktop, however they arrange it, their preferences. If they've saved certain files in certain places, it'll bring those over as well. So that's what's happened, is that probably has multiple profiles on it that need to be wiped off so that it's just Ronnie's profile on it. And
Okay.
that'll free up all the space. So that one's just needs to let us know in that first period. We'll give him a device to use for the rest of Monday while we take care of cleaning that one off and get it back to him before the end of the day.
Okay, I'll tell him to do that. Thank you.
Sure. Uh-huh.
I have a question about, I guess it kind of goes with the importing of the files.
Mm-hmm.
When they are trying to upload, say, for instance, their artwork that they have to do for Miss Pettis,
Uh-huh.
she tells them to take a screenshot with their phone to get a better picture of the image.
Okay.
We try to do that, and then we try to email the picture once we've got it uploaded and edited and everything
Mm-hmm.
on our phone. We try to email it, but it says access is denied to send it to the email. I don't know if
Okay.
we're doing something wrong or.
Okay. When you say that you're emailing it, do you have this? What device are you using as far as a phone?
Now, what we were trying to do was with her iPhone.
Okay.
So what I ended up doing is, because when we got the computer, you gave me the login and
Mm-hmm.
the page where I could do it on our actual laptop here at the house.
Right.
So I've been doing it with my phone, sending it to my personal email, downloading it onto the desktop, and then trying to attach it. Well, evidently it's not working because she's getting blank pages. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but it's a concern because Erin is a
Right.
pen to paper student. So
Right.
we download all the papers and then we try to do the uploads. And
Okay.
I think that's an issue that with her experience with the remote, I'm
Right.
trying to figure it out. And
Okay.
so if you can explain that to me, how to do that properly.
That's probably that's really device specific, I guess. What I would do with it, and I just the way that I have my particular phone set up, and I have my school email set up on the app on my phone. So mine, and I'm not sure if Erin's got her K-12 email set up that way. But if you have that email on there and you take that picture, you can basically, you're just sending an email to yourself, and then you're able to log into your email on the computer and bring that image down. Now, it's probably something that we really need to sit down one-on-one and kind of go through the process and see where it's getting lost. I'm not 100% sure I could explain it in a way that would make sense to everybody or even make sense to you without being able to sit down with her. And it's something I can even do with Erin, right? Is that who I'm talking to?
Yeah.
I can even bring Erin in for a few minutes, and actually, if she has her phone with her, we can go through all the steps of it and see where it's getting hung up at. But the easiest way, if you're taking a picture with the phone, would be to email that to yourself so that you could access your email on the laptop. So if it's just giving you a blank document when you do it, then there may be some kind of issue as far as how we're attaching it or what it's doing to the picture when you attach it. There's a lot of different little things in there that could be kind of off before it's getting attached.
Okay.
Mr. Belcher, can I
Yes,
ask
ma'am.
on that? So
Sure.
I see just now that there's the Schoology app.
Mhm.
So and I have an iPhone. So hypothetically, could you download the Schoology app, log in as a student, and attach that picture how you showed us how to send the messages earlier?
It is possible, and
Okay.
I'm going to
We can
totally
try that out too.
yeah, I'm going to totally tell on myself that I have very little time spent on the app yet. When they sent when they sold Schoology to us and we were dealing with everybody and all the training that we went through, they reiterated over and over and over and over that from a teacher standpoint, we needed to work with Schoology on our laptops, and the app was to be kind of a supplement as far as grading and as far as some, a few tasks here and there, but to not try to depend on the app. Well, I took that to heart, and I haven't been on the app at all, and I need to be on the app because that's really what our elementary students are using in a lot of places, and I've just some work that we need to do with that. But that is definitely a possibility, and I'm actually making that note
Okay.
that we'll look at that. So.
Mr. Belcher, we'll be
Yes.
your test. We'll be your
Sure.
test dummy on that.
That would
I'll
be
get
great.
that downloaded tonight.
Okay.
And
Yeah, definitely
because
look at that and see.
I'm working at home, so I
Okay.
have more access to my phone while I'm at work than and while she would be doing her schoolwork, I'm working.
Right.
So that
right.
would give me a way to actually follow and make sure. So I'll be
Okay.
your test dummy on that.
Great. I actually just got a text message from Ms. Trexler, and she said that yes, you can send a picture directly in the app. So definitely download that tonight and see if that makes it easier to submit that type of thing, and let us know how that works out, and we'll push that out to everybody if it's successful.
Okay.
I like it.
Yep. Any other questions?
I do have to, can I interject real quick?
Sure.
There's no great time to do this, but we do actually need the parents to complete, and the staff, if you would not mind, through the Princeton Middle Facebook feed. Since I couldn't put it on through the Teams call, there is a link for the survey that we do need to have you to fill out, if you don't mind. Just about, I mean, for those of us that were here, the effectiveness of tonight's training, and any feedback, any suggestions, anything like that that you can put on there would be greatly appreciated. And it comes to us anonymously. So just any feedback that you can give us through that. Again, I posted the link to the Facebook feed. So thank you guys. Go ahead, Mr. Belcher. Sorry.
Okay. Nope, you're good. So, are there any other questions, and anything at all? I can go back and share screens from the parent account or the student account if we just need to take a tour around Schoology. Anything that you're either interested in or struggling with, or both, just let us know. So it's a great time.
I have one other question. It's
Okay.
not really anything that we've discussed, but say for instance, if our child isn't able to return to school for a certain amount of time
Mhm.
due to quarantine or whatever, on the assignments,
Mhm.
how does that work? Do they just go through and because when it's broke down by AB model, like
Mhm.
Aaron is A, so they have it, most of the teachers have it laid out. A on the 10-day folder is A, you do this assignment and this assignment. So do they need to do the models for A and B, or how does that work?
That would be my understanding, and Ms. Roberts, jump in by all means. But that's how I've instructed my kids from the day one that they were in the class. That while some are A and some are B, if for some reason they have to be out on their scheduled day to be in school, they can certainly go to that folder and look at the A group's work or look at the B group's work, to get that assignment. Every student should have an assignment to do every single day, whether it's in class or out of class. So even if they're at home on a day that they should be there, that assignment should still be on Schoology as if they were in school. And if it's something that is, it's a handout or something that the teacher was going to give out, then obviously they can't get a hold of that immediately. A lot of our teachers are putting copies of anything that they're handing out on their Schoology as well to make that available, because that's, again, we've got this platform solely for the purpose of it being a remote learning platform option, so that the students were never without access to their education, whether they were in the building or out of the building. So if you're not seeing the work, then maybe get in touch with that teacher to see what their plan is, or get in touch with one of the administrators to kind of help walk through that to make sure that that you don't, or that you're without access, and just let us know. We certainly don't want them to fall behind because they can't figure out what they're supposed to be working on.
And we have had a handful of parents who have had extenuating circumstances as far as quarantining or just just various things that have happened, that has nothing to do with quarantining. And if that parent calls the office, what we can do is, since you're that student's parent, we pull up that student schedule and we send an email to every one of those classes, and we say, please contact such and such. And if you give us like an email address and or a phone number, we'll give them the option. And then, you as a parent then can explain to the teacher that your student maybe is quarantined, or they have strep, or maybe there's, for example, been a death in the family. I mean, just any reason that that student would have to transition to a remote learning situation for more than their assigned AB scheduled day.
Right. Yeah. So this, Schoology seems like it's a mountain to climb over, but it's got a lot of possibilities. I mean, it's we really have a unique opportunity to be able to keep the kids engaged regardless of what's going on. So.
A neat little thing I found as looking from the parent side of it is when you go to the grades, not only can you see like a comment off to the right, or if it's missing, it has this little octagon, or if they're excused, maybe, they were out or they started late, it makes it a green one. But there are, on the left, it's all blue links. So if it's missing, you don't have to go back and try to find where to find it. Right. I can just click on that little blue link and it'll take me directly in the folder, whatever folder it is, to that particular assignment. Yeah.
Yeah, I've done the same thing as a parent. My child is not back in school yet, but she still has a Schoology account, and we've been kind of following along to help her learn it before she goes back in, so she wasn't completely lost. And the same thing, that's our first place as a parent. We go straight to the grade tab, and it's just easier for us to quickly get to something. Obviously, we want your students to understand each particular teacher's navigation structure, whatever they've set up, and we are continuing to work with teachers to help refine that process so that we make it extremely simple for the students to navigate around. We want the challenge to be in the work, not in the finding the work. So, we're still definitely working on that, but that's an excellent point, Ms. Drexler. Just straight to the gradebook and can help find that particular assignment.
Could I ask a question in regard to Schoology's recognition or non-recognition of the Group A and Group B status that we're dealing with? Perhaps it's my son's aversion to doing things, but I find it very confusing, assignments and dates for those assignments. They're coming up and they differ by a day, depending, yes, on what group you're in. Is there no way for the teacher to, post only on his account as a Group A student? Is there no division? Schoology doesn't recognize that. Am I correct?
Yeah, yes and no. I'm going to pick apart the question just a little bit. One of the things that we're working with that we just barely had enough time when we introduced the Schoology platform to the teachers, there's an option in there called grading groups. And in the grading groups, I can divide my class so that only my A students get assigned this particular assignment, and my B students, they get assigned their own copy of it. So on a teacher standpoint, I see duplicate assignments throughout my grade book, but they're broken down by that A and B group. And that's something that if you're not seeing that in your students' accounts right now, you will soon. We're really working towards helping all the teachers use that feature of it. Schoology, it was not really developed around a 50% model. They have workarounds for it, and they gave us some good information on how we could set that up, and that's what we're working with on the teachers. But as far as a true button to flip to say our district is AB, let's use this version of Schoology, no, it's not built like that. But there are some things that we can do, and we do understand that there's been a lot of confusion on both the student part, the parent part, and even on the teacher part. I mean, I've had a few teachers that we've created some great things and we can't even find it. So we understand that it's hard for the parents to navigate in places. So we're trying to be as flexible as we possibly can, and really encouraging the kids to just let us know. Don't don't cower down and hide in the seat and be afraid to tell us that, hey, I can't find your assignment, or I don't understand what I'm looking at. We're growing and learning together, and hopefully we'll get a lot of these quiet kids out of their shell to be open to communicate with us when they're struggling with that.
Right. And I think my confusion, or our confusion, my son is likely to pick the assignment, the teacher perhaps has assigned that to both group A and B. I mean,
right.
You're typically doing the same things,
Mm-hmm.
but he'll look over on his calendar and say, oh, that's due, this one's due on Friday, this one's not due till Monday, and he picks the latter of those.
Sure.
You understand what I'm saying? So
exactly.
That's just my concern, is that
right.
Any way to break that out such that he doesn't see that as an option, because
right.
I know truly that it's not an option.
Right. Yeah, that grading group's example would solve that entirely, because he wouldn't even see the other assignment for the other group, because it wouldn't be assigned to him. The only assignment that he would get is the one that has his due date on it. So again, we're definitely pushing that through, and we're coming up with a long list of different training topics for our staff at the school as we move forward. And I'm learning just as much from them as I could possibly share with them, because they're spending a lot of time in this too. So we'll eventually come up with some amazing best practices and really be something awesome. But unfortunately, this year's students are going through the growing pains with us.
Right. And the only other thing I would quickly ask,
mm-hmm.
I think the mother that talked about the artwork submission and talked about having a real pen to paper student need. My son having a version, he thinks you can do anything without writing it down on a piece of paper, including, working a complicated math problem or whatever.
Sure.
And I find that doing everything through the device is only increasing that belief.
Right.
Is there anything you might speak to, the suggestions of how to deal with that attitude?
Mr. Lawson could probably speak to that from a math perspective.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Mr. Lawson. I teach 6th grade math. Actually, I'm not sure. You'll have to take a look at one of the parents. Ronnie Johnson's, Isaac Johnson's in my class. I think it's the only parent on here that I actually have. But yeah, that's something that we're definitely seeing. I'm definitely seeing on the math side, is that students tend to try to enter assignments or do the work without writing anything down.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, I can't even do it without writing it down. So I'm going to need you to put it on paper, even though, we're not really passing papers back and forth in the classroom. Most of us have a way to submit those math assignments, or an opportunity for them to write the things down and then take those answers that they get and submit those into Schoology to be graded. So yeah, but I do agree with whomever just made that statement, that I see more now that we have more technological devices. Students are less apt to want to write things down, and then also just to the general thing. I mean, with the AB groups, the classes are much smaller. But one of the issues that I'm seeing, and I'm trying to break them out of my shell, it's harder to build relationships right now. It's really hard, or well, not really hard, but it's harder than it was in the past to build relationships. And I myself, and if other teachers are here, I'm not getting very much feedback from any of my students whatsoever. We can be going over a topic or an assignment, and I'm just not getting feedback as to if it's understood or not. It's like crickets a lot of the time. So
yeah,
that's exactly how it is, Mr. Lawson. And on the writing perspective, with me doing my strategies class, I'm actually having them write journal entries on paper, just so we can look at it and see if there needs to be corrections made. Because a lot of them just want to type something up and use spell check. And we still got to learn the grammar to go along with it.
Right. So I think it's, at least from both of these folks that just spoke to it, and I think a lot of the other teachers are looking at the same things, that we know that that's a challenge to continue those basic skills with pen and paper, just like the basic computer skills that we're trying to address, so that we don't lose either one. We definitely want our kids to get comfortable with the computer and be able to to be able to navigate within the system and use the system that we have in place, but definitely don't want them to forget how to write or forget how to work a simple math problem and forget how to, go back and edit your paper, as Ms. Stapleton said. I mean, it's there's a lot of strategies that are being employed, whether you're aware of them on the parent side, because I can't imagine that your kids come home and just immediately open up and start telling you everything, because they sit and look at us like we're, aliens sometimes. But they are getting exposed to these things, I think.
I know with Erin that we've been she's doing well with the on-site portion because several of her teachers do the Schoology with everything. She's doing really well with the on-site portion of it, but the remote portion is where we're having the problem with the concentration and things of that nature. Even though we have a desk set up, we have a designated area, I've been taking cell phones, doing everything that we can possibly do, but it's still, there is so much that I can't concentrate on when I'm working.
Right.
And so that's why I've been doing printing the assignments off the 10-day folder, making her write them down. And that's something that we're going to do better on. And then even if need be, once she gets those completed, then she can sit down and show me that she's entered those in that way once we have the assignment completed. So that's something that we're going to employ here at our house.
Right. And I can speak to that as a parent as well. I've got a virtual kid right now, and the virtual platform is great. It's got lots of content, but she's teaching herself. If we don't stop working and sit down with her and basically do homeschool, we're leaving it up to a 9-year-old to teach herself. And we realize that a lot of our students are on their remote days, not because the parents don't want to help them, but they are responsible for a lot. We're putting a lot on the kids. We're trying to help them become more responsible, but they are having to employ strategies that they didn't have before. And I see that in my daughter. My daughter is a straight A student when a teacher's in front of her, and she's a straight A student right now, but it's not because we haven't had to drag her along tooth and nail all the way to get her to stay on track with it. It's definitely a challenge, and I think I know I can speak for myself as a teacher, and I'm sure the other teachers that are on here right now understand that we're just seeing things that we never thought about. Remote learning sounded great. At least we can keep the kids engaged and keep them going. But it kind of goes back to the computer thing. We've learned in the first 2 weeks that our kids have never had to use a computer the way we're asking them to.
Right.
It's basic computer skill stuff, and it goes to basic study skills and basic time management. And it's whether it's a good thing that they're getting it early or a sad thing that they're having to do it so early, they're having to grow up a lot faster in this time that we're in right now, and learn skills that maybe they wouldn't have had to learn prior to this. So it's but it is, I'm glad you brought that up. It's important for us to hear that and know that there are other things that we need to try to address as we're going through this to make sure that we're trying to build all those skill sets that they need to be successful with how we're having to learn right now.
And as a teacher, there's a lot of us trying to adjust what we put in our plans for the kids right now.
Sure.
We know how overwhelming it's getting with them and how much work that we have that hasn't been turned in. So myself, I've lightened my load quite a bit in the past 2 weeks compared to what I was doing, just by seeing what my students are completing and what they're not completing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think a lot of our staff have done that. And it's just like Mr. Belcher said, it's just very much a different way of teaching, and it's different for the teachers who are finding the material to go to utilize, to push out to the students. It's different for the parents because you're trying to help them with the technological perspective of everything, where we used to just, everything was just paper and pen and book. And not to say that one is better than the other, but we sure do appreciate all of our staff, Mr. Belcher definitely, and all the parents that are here tonight for helping us to embrace this change, if you will, and just appreciate you guys joining us so much tonight.
Yeah,
really.
definitely.
And if you have any additional questions, I think I've already been able to provide the parent codes to the parents who needed those tonight. But if there's anything at all, I mean, that's what we're here for. Call the school, ask to speak with an administrator. We can get you in touch with that teacher, with Mr. Belcher. We can help if we know how. We're learning a little bit more. Mr. Belcher's been patient with us. He's teaching us something new every day. But if we can help you as a parent to best support your student, that's what we're here for.
Yep.
And again, just make sure you go to Facebook and you fill out that, you click on that link for the survey for afterwards, so that we know kind of if you like this, if you didn't like this, if it was helpful, and what we can do to support you guys in the future. Okay?
Sounds good.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.
See ya.